Hello and a very warm welcome from ET Studios, ET Education and Coursera. I'm Devina Lasson and today we're here to deep dive into the fascinating topic of advancing higher education, curriculum to careers. We will delve into the evolving shifts in higher education, encompassing both the growth of online education, the significance of industry microcredentials, and the influence of AI and ChatGPT on teaching and learning methods, as well as their impact on future job market and so much more. So to discuss this and to understand how the trends are shaping the experiences and the expectations of students, we have with us today a very esteemed panel of experts. It's my pleasure to welcome our panelists today, Shravan Goli, COO, Coursera, Dr. Deepak Garg, Vice Chancellor, SR University and Director of leadingindia.ai, and Ravi Chandran Gopal, Vice Chairman, Sri Vishnu Educational Society. Gentlemen, welcome. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for hosting us.
Thank you. So, we're here to talk about a really important and very interesting topic, which is the future of education, right? Advancing education from curriculum to careers. I'm sure each of you is going to give us a very different and unique insight into how you foresee the education space in the coming years. But to kickstart, could you please help us understand just some context, how you've seen higher level education evolve in the last few years, and maybe any top trends that we should be aware of to keep on our radar, and then we'll take it from there. Shravan, we can start with you.
So when I think about the key trends that really are shaping up the higher education, first of all, I think you need to step out of the box and actually see what happened over the last maybe 5 to 10 years. The digital transformation, automation, and globalization have really created a lot of job dislocation, and really sort of thinking about what is the only constant has been change. That's rapid technological change. That's creating a lot more dislocation of the jobs. And that it also means the kinds of skills and the credentials you need to earn for the future of the jobs are also changing rapidly. So I think that's the underlying trend. And when you look at actually think about what happened during COVID is sort of this rise of online learning, as well as globalization of talent with remote workforce. And only in the last 9 to 10 months, the dramatic rise of generative AI is rapidly changing how we're going to think about how we learn, how we work, how we teach across the board. One of the data points for me is kind of sticks really well is this is a study from University of Pennsylvania. They did this in March of last year. They said 49% of all job tasks for almost half of the jobs today can be done by generative AI.
Wow.
And since that study, there have been a number of other studies that have been published where you can actually see very clear impact on white-collar jobs with generative AI. So if automation was creating the risk of the low-skilled workforce, like baristas and et cetera, the generative AI is really creating risk for the high-skilled job workforce. And that is exactly like, sort of the higher education, the people coming out of the higher education institutions, and people like us who are working in the industry are going to get impacted.
Yeah, very good points by Shravan. I think carrying that forward, what is changing is that now we don't need to teach students. Now it is all about to make them learn how to learn. Because what we are seeing is how much fast whatever we change our curriculum as per industry, still the students has to learn so many new things while they are on jobs. So we are trying to change our system to create that habit and to make it as an experience that how they can learn new things. And for that, all these micro-credentials, online learning, again it is a task of the self-initiated. And main thing is that students end up only remembering those things which they have done themselves. Otherwise, they end up losing 90% of their curriculum or whatever has been taught. So that 10% is basically all hands-on learning, project-based or product-based learning. So where the industry labs and the professionals or the instructors, professors who are themselves immersed in their own research or who are themselves hands-on. So that will remain a priority for the time being and for the future to come. So what we have seen is the young students, even let us say the final year students, uh, acting as a teaching assistants or first year students. So they are getting much better feedback than some of the teachers. So it is all about giving experience on campus. So I think the campus life and the campus teaching learning will stay along with the online learning, and it will be a blended form of learning that will be also required to build up the personalities and the future citizens of any country, because now the families are also shrinking. So the upbringing, the kind of upbringing we have in homes does not makes them fully geared up for the societal living. So that's why they need to have a campus life experience, hostel experience, and how they work together in teams.
We'll definitely deep dive into the impact of AI. But before that, Ravi, your views, please. Again, we're talking about the trends, the key trends that you've noticed over the years when it comes to higher level education. So some key takeaways.
As our speakers earlier talked about it, what I'm trying to, give a different thought to this is we are running a generation of stakeholders, which includes the student and the parent, and also the teachers. So when you interestingly talked about the program for how Gen Z thinks differently, the faculty also belong to a Gen X and a Gen Y, and therefore the combination of bringing technology, and that's where the asynchronous learning as well as the micro-credentialing plays a very important bridge for that, bringing that people together, because you have the junior faculty in the Gen Y, and then you have the senior faculty in Gen X, and then you have the Gen Z students. And so when you look at these people interacting and collaborating, the only digital platform that they use have to be very enticing and engaging. And therefore, it was very important that what Dr. Deepak had observed, that the faculty have to be sensitized and also able to be enabled to use these platforms in a very different way that Gen Z engages with. And so that's why I feel that asynchronous learning with the micro-credentialing gives this opportunity for this. And then we also have projects. So if you look at, we are talking about project-based learning, we are talking about experiential learning, but if you look at how platforms like Coursera deal with that, is they give projects 1 to 3 hours duration, and that engages the student to real time, trying to do real time industry use case, and that is also enabling the faculty in a way, because their content is dynamic, because so much is happening in the skilling, in the industry requirements, and platforms like Coursera on top of it, so they create these short projects and help them engage. So the technical thing here is engaging, and in a different way, and that's what is happening as the changes that has happened from what it was in the past. And you also look at the generation of ChatGPT. So we are looking at GPT to be an enabler again. So the way you use that to productivize the learning process, and also trying to work with differentiated learners, because we are in a way democratizing higher education, and the way we are democratizing is by creating different learning patterns through the ChatGPT.
Wonderful. Thanks for that. We're going to deep dive into so much of what you've mentioned. But before that, Dr. Deepak, you were talking about curriculum enhancement, right? And how that must be done as one of the trends you're seeing in order to keep up with industry expectations. In your experience, how do you approach this? How do you approach evolving your curriculum basis the expectation from the industry?
it is becoming challenging because now there is so much content. So it is always the point that what to leave, not what to take, because so, and then if you ask different experts, there are always different suggestions depending upon what their expertise is. So no expert wants to leave out their content from the curriculum. So what we are trying to do is now, one is that we are trying to make students free from the core curriculum in their later half of the program, so that they can engage more with industry, they can engage more in self-learning, they can engage more in building their career pathway. Otherwise, they are too much tied up with their whole timetable and everything. And then we are also opening up the space of micro-credentialing through open electives and electives. And then they have these thousands of courses, like we are using Coursera on campus, and we have completed close to 100,000 certifications by our students of different duration, and that had definitely created a upgradation of skilling in faculty as well as students. So, and we are also now having these three streams. One is called minors, one is called honors, and one is called audit courses. So where the student is able to explore other streams apart from his core degree program. Somebody has interest in finance, somebody has interest in law, in social sciences, in psychology, so they can take few courses in that and get a minor degree along with their major degree. And then they can audit something, means they are interested in something but they don't want to go into the examination route. They can just go and sit in that class and get an audit of that course. So those kind of various options, means this is also the focus of our NEP, that lot more flexibility in terms of even having cross degree programs or dual degree programs, or now they can even do two things at a time if they are willing to. So that's how we are changing our curriculum, and projects are also a major part of it. We have at least one project in every semester. And then we are going for gamification of the curriculum. So I think SR University will be the first in the country to actually roll out that. So we have just made that how
Can
the
you give an example of how it would pan out?
So the students will get different badges or the levels like we have in different mobile games. So they can get points from their academic credentials, they can get points from if they participate in sports, cultural activities, leadership, or even if they participate in some NGO activities, some blood donation. And then they can redeem those points across the food joints in the campus. They can redeem from getting some relaxation in their deadline for submitting the assignment. Or
Valid incentives.
and there are other kind of 12 to 14 such points where they can redeem those points. So and this will come, then they can get different names also, that now you are a expert, now you are a proficient in this thing, now you are this. So like there are 9-10 levels like they have in different mobile games. And similarly we are doing a gamification of the teachers also. So teachers will also get points and then they can also get redeemed. So that's what we are rolling out in few months, and we are building that platform.
Exciting. Completely different approach, actually. So, gentlemen, we're talking about the future and the advancement of the educational space. And of course, ChatGPT, Gen AI is at the heart of all of this. I'm sure you all have very interesting and deep perspectives on how this is impacting the whole flow, the skills that are required, the job opportunities, and therefore, of course, the way education is evolving to meet all of that. So just some kind of key takeaways and insights on the impact of Gen AI, ChatGPT, and so on. Dr. Deepak, maybe we could start with you.
So definitely means these are revolutionary technologies. So then it becomes even more fundamental for institutions like us to think about it and now the ChatGPT is not only answering language related things, but also mathematics and also other co-pilots for coding. And that is having a direct impact on the hiring perspective. The bulk hiring companies, as the data says, around 25% less hiring this academic session, and that may further kind of accelerate. So that puts a lot of challenges in front of the institutions, and the things we are talking about, they needs to get more speed and impact and go deeper. As of now, they are only in elite institutions. They are not going down into the remote areas. So that is important, that how those latest thinking goes into those remote things. And what we are saying is that don't fear away, don't fear from ChatGPT or DALL-E or BARD, but actually embrace them. So it is like embracing calculator or embracing computers or embracing internet. So similarly means there is no other way but to embrace it and increase the level of your questions, the level of your discussions in the class, so that it goes on top of ChatGPT, and how you can be critical of the content of ChatGPT. Because as of now, I don't see, I mean, even personally I can't use it 100%, just copy paste and send it.
Right.
I have to read it, I have to see, and I have to edit it. So even that kind of capability is required, because when the content comes to me through some office staff or teachers, I see some of them don't even read it. So there are errors, there are some misconceptions, some misdirections. So we have to deal with that kind of capability. So that means they understand the content, that means they understand the situation, that means they understand the bird's eye view of that situation, and then they come up with some corrections in that. So that is important.
Fascinating. It's a whole new paradigm of thinking and how to approach, like I said, all these details that weave together the education experience. Gentlemen, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here today. Lots of learnings, lots of takeaways, and I'm sure all our students out there, faculty as well, will have a lot to think about when it comes to the future of education. Thank you for being on the show today. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you for hosting
Devinath,
us.
for a perfect host.
All right, on that note, that's all we have for you on this fascinating episode. But do stay tuned to ET Studios and ET Education for more such in-depth conversations. Until next time, many thanks for watching.